Good day, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Under the Cupola. My name is Leon Gaumond, and I have the honor and privilege of serving as the town manager for the town of Weston. This program, we kind of focus on people who are working every day in some capacity to help make Weston a really great place. Today, I'm joined by Joan Ingersoll, who happens to be our Senior Center Director, having been appointed to the position back about a year and a half ago, back in early 2023. Joan, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here, Leon.
Great. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up being here in Weston.
Okay, well, I had a long nonprofit career where I was running agencies for people with disabilities and people with mental health issues, but I'm originally from Newton, and about 8 years ago I wanted to move back to this area from Connecticut to be with my older parents and my children who are starting families. So I decided to shift from that into municipal work and was lucky enough to get a job in Lincoln at their Council on Aging, and then was director in Carlisle for 3 years, and I really enjoyed it. And when I saw this opportunity open up in Weston, and there was, facilities and good energy around the programs, I thought that would be a good fit for me. And it has been. Oh,
good. So how long have you been doing like senior center, council on aging type work?
About 5 years altogether. But what I did notice, I transitioned in my career from working with people with physical and cognitive disabilities to people with mental health and addiction and homelessness. If you're a people person and human service person, people are people, and the skills seem to be very transferable.
What do you find most rewarding about working with our seniors?
They're so appreciative of things. They're so willing to connect and come in, and very small things can be such a big deal. I mean, one small story was I was with a senior who was going to a memorial service for someone, and she happened to say to me, "I just have to tell you, your transportation program is the only thing that is keeping me in my home in Weston at the age of 95.
Wow.
If it weren't for you and Audrey, who runs transportation, I would definitely be in some kind of assisted living." So, we get a lot of positive feedback for what we do. So I like that, and I like, the wisdom of people and the, vibrancy of the people that come in, and there's so many different communities that we touch and people that we touch that it's a pretty exciting job.
And the senior population is rising in the town of Weston.
It is rising. We're almost up to 28%. We are at 28%. 28.41% of the residents are 60 and older. So it keeps on growing, and we're noticing, more and more people engaging with us, and some younger seniors. We have like the younger seniors in their 60s and 70s, and then the older seniors. And we're starting today. I met somebody at our Canasta group who had just retired, and her friend said, "You have to learn Canasta," and there she was learning Canasta. So it's, we have something for everyone if somebody's interested in.
I mean, it sounds like it. Tell me, why would a community have like a senior center? Why would we have like senior programs? Tell me what prompted communities and the Commonwealth to kind of like go into that direction.
Well, the senior centers in Massachusetts are around 50 years old. We just celebrated our 50th anniversary recently. And, the Older Americans Act really highlighted that for people. So every community in Massachusetts has a council on aging, a senior center. They all have, some of them have different names. But people have found that in terms of social isolation and having a whole vibrant life post-retirement, that's the key to aging well. And people really need to meet each other, be with each other, continue to learn, continue to focus on sort of all the domains of wellness, which includes your physical health, your mental health, your socialization, and just, being able to find something that you can connect with and do it regularly really keeps people healthier.
Yeah. You mentioned the word socialization a number of times. It seems like there might be some segment of the community that really struggles with socialization, maybe housebound, might not be comfortable meeting new people. It must have been really difficult during COVID. Tell me, what are some of the things that you do to outreach to every senior in town?
Well, every senior, of course, gets our newsletter, so they all read and see what we're doing, and they know that we have a whole 2 social workers and a lot of services for people that need support, and they can call the social workers, and our social workers will visit them at home. So there's that. Because of Zoom, which we learned how to use during COVID, we have a fair number of programs, including some of our fitness programs, art programs, music, history, a lot of opportunities for people to go to programs through Zoom. So if they don't want to leave their house or they can't, we have that. We do the Meals on Wheels program where we have eyes on people Monday through Friday. We have volunteers delivering meals to people that are homebound. I mean, that's really who that program is for. And it's not just delivering the hot meal. It's actually building a relationship, making sure that they're seeing how somebody is doing. And if there's something that we should follow up on, then we're going to hear that from the Meals on Wheels drivers. But we've also done some outreach lately to people with memory changes and sort of cognitive issues, because we know that sometimes people, when they know that they're not as facile with language as they used to be, they don't want to be with people because they're uncomfortable with that.
Embarrassed, perhaps.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we started what's called a Memory Cafe, which is a monthly program where we have a leader, say somebody with music or drumming or art or yoga or sound bath, and it's for people with memory changes and their care partner. And they come to the COA, and we have food, and they interact with each other. And people have been coming, and that program has been growing. So we're really trying to make sure that we're connecting with the people that are the most frail in our community.
So how do you determine what programs you might want to bring to the senior center? How do you and your staff figure out what's a good thing to bring forward?
Well, there's certainly some programs that are tried and true that people look forward to and that ask for every year.
Give me an example.
Okay, like the lobster lunch that we're having next week.
How come I don't get invited to that
Well, you are
one?
welcome to come. So, certain things people like, the lobster roll. When we do an ice cream social, last year we had dinner and jazz on the patio, and it was a big hit, so we're having that again this year. So certain things and thematic things, everybody likes a Halloween thing, and, the food events are very popular with older adults, but they're also social events. Yes, people are getting a meal, but they're seeing each other. So, but then we've tried some new things, like we worked with the library to try a book club at Brooks School called Brooks Books, because we just thought that we should do more outreach to Brooks School in Marion Village. And so Jen and Joyce, our social worker, have developed that. We were feeling like that we were noticing that there were people who were coming, and they had a person with them who had some memory changes, and there wasn't programming for their partners. So we just thought we would do outreach to the community and start that. So that was something that we just noticed as a need, but we also send out surveys. So Sydney, our program director, will do a survey through SurveyMonkey to people that have, maybe engaged with us in the last 3 years. What would you like to see? How did you like this program? So we get feedback from people. And when people really like something, then we'll continue with it. When we find a good presenter, like we have some presenters like in the history and the art history space who are just excellent at everything they do, people love it. We might have 50 people on Zoom. So we just continue to use them, and they have different content, as time goes on. I mean, ukulele is a program we've had for quite a while, but there's 50 people coming for ukulele every Tuesday. So there's the if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But then there's also how do we do fresh new things? And I'll say to Sydney, hey, I know that View Boston is open now. It's on top of the hub. I bet people would like to see it. We put it out there, it was completely full. We had to do 2 of them. So sometimes we just at our staff meetings brainstorm. Audrey, who's, very into the arts and, theater, is always suggesting, let's go to the ART, take a trip here, and our trips have been wildly popular to the point that we really want to have another vehicle and driver available so that we can take 28 people instead of 14 people.
So you've mentioned Audrey, you've mentioned Sydney. Tell me about the staff. You have. It sounds like you have an amazing group of people that work with you. Tell me about some of the positions that you staff at the senior center.
Yes, I'm very lucky. We have a great team. So Audrey, who's been with us, I think, for about 7 years. She started out as a volunteer, and she's our transportation coordinator and front desk person. And she's a whiz with transportation. She lives in Weston. She knows exactly how long it's going to take to get everywhere. And we have 4 part-time drivers who she supervises, make sure that they have their training, make sure that the vehicles are the way they should be. I have some statistics just because I think people would be interested. But in fiscal 24, which recently ended, through the COA, we provided 3,340 rides to people.
That's amazing.
Now, not all of them were with our vehicles. Our vehicles were 2,500, and then we have a taxi program where we help people get rides to medical appointments and for other purposes through a taxi company, and we subsidize the cost of that. But Audrey organizes all the rides for our 2 vehicles and our 4 drivers, and really tries to make it work. I mean, I can hear her on the phone saying, you know, I know you want to go to Walgreens. We've got somebody that needs to go to dialysis. How about if they do that and then you can go to Walgreens? You know, she adjusts things that can be adjusted. Doctor's appointments cannot, but a lot of the rides are just for a hair appointment, you know, an errand, and people are very flexible and very appreciative. And the people that are, we have a lot of frequent flyers, you know, people that use the rides constantly. So we have about 250 people that are our regular riders, and those people are taking rides multiple times a week.
Sounds like you came armed with numbers. So tell me about your programming. How many? What kind of programming? And you said Sydney.
So Sydney's our program
coordinate
director. She's been here since November. She came from an assisted living where she was doing programming. Although she's a very young person, she loves older adults, and she's fantastic with older adults, and so creative and has great attention to detail. And we've all just been really impressed with her energy and how thoughtful she is. And we have kind of a format that we use to mix things up so that anybody in the community could find something that they want to do at the COA. So we have a core of fitness and wellness programs. We have about 10 fitness instructors that do everything from Tai Chi to meditation to, you know, a small strength training class, you know, Zumba, line dancing, all kinds of different things. Part of some of them are hybrid and some of them are in person. So, you know, there's 14 classes coming that people can take every week. We also have walks, you know, community walks. So there's a lot of opportunities for people to, you know, stay healthy that way. Like I mentioned before, we have monthly presentations in art and music and history, current events, and then some hands-on programs. We partner with places like Landsake to do, you know, how to make honey, how to do flower arranging. And, you know, we have a really nice partnership with Landsake. We also provide veggie vouchers to people that are in financial need in the community, so they can get $400 worth of produce at Landsake at no cost to them. I received a grant from Springwell for part of it, and then the rest are donated by Landsake. So we take our van over there every week so people can go and, you know, take advantage of the food. Other food, in addition to Meals on Wheels, we have a program called Village Table, which is done through Wellesley, an organization in Wellesley, and they deliver food to us every other week for people in need. So that's a supplement to all of the other programs, and that's also completely free. Then we have enrichment things like conversational Spanish, and we had an Italian class. We have a really popular class called the Life Transition Binder, which helps people kind of organize things at a sort of post-retirement state and make sure that they are, you know, have everything they need in one place. And that class fills up every time. We offer it about twice a year. As I said, people really like food, so we have a men's breakfast, we have a community breakfast, we have grab and goes. We started grab and goes during the pandemic, but people really like them. So Sydney's really creative about, you know, doing sort of seasonal grab and goes, and people can just come and pick it up, and they can stay and enjoy it, or they can go. We teach classes. I've been teaching a Mahjong class, which I also did in Carlisle and Lincoln, because it's such a connector of people. And it's also good for your brain, good for your fine motor skills, and it's just fun. And it's going on right now at the COA, but I've taught probably 40 people so far in Weston. We have a group at Merriam Village and a group at the COA, and it's just, you know, people keep coming up to me and asking me, when are you going to teach another class? This person wants to learn. So, you know, there's multiple layers to everything that we do. It's not just what you see on the surface. Like, I was looking into a new thing that we're offering in September, ballroom dancing, and I had never done ballroom dancing, but it was explaining how it's social, it's focus oriented, it helps your balance, it helps posture, body alignment, I mean, confidence. It was like so many things. And somebody might just say, oh, ballroom dancing. But really, there's a reason why senior centers and COAs offer the programs they do, because it's all related to kind of helping people age as well as they can.
Yeah, no, that sounds really exciting, and it sounds like if you're a senior in Weston, or if you have family who are seniors in Weston, there's got to be something for them that will get them out of the house, get them, meeting with their fellow neighbors and friends and that sort of thing.
Right, and excited about things. I mean, our bridge group is so robust. Bridge lessons, the canasta lessons. We partner with Recreation on the pickleball to offer discounts to older adults on pickleball because that's blowing up. But yes, there's something for everybody, every level of ability. We're a very inclusive space, and we want to have people feel comfortable coming to us. And also, if you have an idea, people bring us ideas and then we'll follow up on them. So we're very open to suggestions and we welcome that from the community.
So you also work very closely with a council on aging, the actual board that that makes up the sort of like the policies and the procedures. Tell me about your council. These are residents of Weston giving of their time basically to work closely with you and your staff on bringing these programs. So tell me about the council itself.
Well, the board is terrific. As you said, they're Weston residents. Not all of them are seniors. Many of them are. But they're really, they've come to us in different ways. Sometimes, we've helped them with medical equipment or with social work. Or other times, they just like what they see we're doing, or they were volunteers. Like one of our new board members was a longtime Meals on Wheels volunteer. One of our new board members was a volunteer at the Cambridge School, where we have an indoor walking program in the winter. So they're familiar with us, and they see that it's vibrant, and they wanted to be part of it. So we meet every month, and then there's a lot of opportunities for them to participate on other committees so that our board understands the bigger picture of what's going on in town. But they're very helpful. They're always helping us at events, giving us suggestions, and being supportive with what we want to do, and where we want to take the COA.
And these board members, they're appointed by the select board.
Yes.
So, when there are vacancies, we would advertise through the select board and hopefully, encourage new people to step forward and serve.
And we've been very lucky because, as you know, it's been a very competitive process. I mean, we've had more people interested in being board members than we've had spots available. Mm-hmm. So I think that speaks to, how well run the board is, and the fact that people are starting to recognize the work that's going on at the COA.
One of the main functions of the Council on Aging, the board itself, is that they're supposed to try to work with you and your staff on developing like the long-range goals, what kinds of things you as a group want to collectively work on. Tell me some of the things that you and your board are focused on for like the upcoming years.
So transportation has been a big piece of that because we realize that, we're really helping people remain in Weston, remain at home. It's really a critical service. And so we're trying to increase our transportation. We were fortunate that we're going to be getting a new vehicle from the Mass Department of Transportation in this next spring. And we're going to probably be hiring more drivers so that we can have twice as many people working 9 to 3:30 because our transportation isn't any time of the day or night. I mean, we are a town department, but we have more requests than we can accommodate right now. So transportation has certainly grown, but we want to continue to work to focus on that. And then we are noticing, with all the staff that we have now and all the programs we have in place, that there are times when there are more people who want to do something than the space will accommodate. So like the lobster roll lunch and certain things that we have in our space on the first floor, we have a waiting list of 25 people sometimes because it's not always possible to get the room upstairs, because we share the building with the rec department. So
you're based out of the community center.
We're based out of the community center. We have the first floor, but not all of the first floor because some of the classrooms are shared with the recreation department. So there could be kids in there, younger children, outside of school hours, and then older kids sometimes after school. So space is sometimes an issue when we want to do multiple things at once, or we want to do an event that, is going to attract more than 50 people, which is the limit to what we can have in the gathering room. So we're looking at, what options might there be in town for us to expand, and also as there are more and more older adults, we want to be able to plan for the future, not just tomorrow, but 10 years from now, what's it going to look like?
Right.
And there's things that the community center doesn't have that I think would be great, such as a state-of-the-art fitness facility would be awesome. And a lot of people ask us for that. So we do not have that. So we talk about what we could do to move that forward and sort of get in the queue. And we understand it's a process. But we've been visiting other senior centers and seeing, what they have and what their communities have done and what have been sort of the successful strategies for, building or relocating to another place.
Well, that's exciting, and there's always, it sounds like there's a lot going on at your at the community center.
There's a lot going on, and
Yeah.
as I mentioned, we have Joyce, our social worker, who's been with us for about 4 years, who's excellent, and we have a part-time social worker. In addition to Joyce, we're hiring for that position now because we had a recent transition, but we have enough, to cover the social service needs, fuel assistance, food assistance, resources for people that might want to change their housing situation or need some support in the house. If we have to get involved with protective services, Joyce works with Springwell with that. So the social services are very important. And then we have Sandy, who does our newsletter. If anybody's seen our newsletter, it's a very full and well done, high quality newsletter, and she's the editor, and she organizes that and keeps us all kind of accountable for getting things to her in time. She's also runs the Meals on Wheels program, works with some volunteers, and also backs up the front desk and helps with things that are more administrative, like bill paying and things like that. So it's a great staff. I mean, and Sydney's been doing a great job. So we're very lucky. I mean, we don't have, we're a small team, but we end up accomplishing a great deal.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
What other goals are you folks thinking about or working towards? And what does the future of like senior programming look like in Weston? Years in the future. What will that look like?
Well, one thing I've thought about, I don't think I've mentioned it to you before, but there's many COAs that we've visited have a social day program 1 or 2 days a week at their facility where people with memory issues can come. They pay a fee, but their caregiver can, bring them and then have some respite time. And the COA hires people to do the programming for people. So you might have a cadre of, say, 6 or 8 people, and they come from, 10 to 2, and they have lunch. But that's really good for them. It's affordable, and it's really good for their care partner, because caregiver stress is a huge problem.
And sometimes it's a 24-hour day
correct
issue.
And when you don't have any respite, it's very difficult. So we're talking about how we could do that, and we would need more space to do that, but I think that would be a fantastic thing to have, and I think people in the community would really appreciate it without having to look for something or sign up for something 5 days a week. People are reluctant to have their person go somewhere they don't know, whereas they know the COA, so it's a very comfortable transition for them.
So tell me, I'm sure that you get tons of emails and tons of phone calls all the time. What is something that you get asked all the time that you wish that the people of Weston knew?
Well, here's some things I've got. So most people don't know whether they're eligible for Meals on Wheels. Most people think that it's an income tested program and that if you're not low income, you can't have them. And that's not true. If you broke your hip and you were in rehab and then you came home and you lived by yourself and you had no way to get to the grocery store and make your meals, you could get home delivered meals for that time. So it's for people that are, either temporarily or on a long-term basis unable to prepare their own food. So that's something that we want to continue to let people know, because I think there are more people that could benefit from it, than are participating now. We get, why am I on the waiting list for this program or trip? Why can't, you fit me in? And, there's a couple reasons. With a trip, it's because we have one driver and one vehicle, and there's 14 seats, and, there's 28 people that want to go. Now, some trips, like we're going to see Yo-Yo Ma at Tanglewood, we actually rented a private bus to take 30 people, but we can't do that every time. That's more because it's a long trip, and that was a request from our seniors. So people don't like it when, they can't come to a meal event because there's a cutoff of 50, or they can't come to a trip. So that's something that I hear. I hear, is this what, is this all being spent? Is this all being done with, you do everything with taxpayer money? And I don't think people realize that 80% of our funds does come from the town budget, but 20% comes from donations, the Friends of the COA, the state of Massachusetts gives us $15 per senior per year. So we have, and then we have a fund people pay $5 a class for many of our regular classes, so we have a fund that we can use, to continue to pay for the instructors. So not everything that we're doing is from taxpayer money. We're fortunate that we have other support on top of that. And then people ask, why can't you take me to, Beth Israel at 6 o'clock at night? And, we explain that, our drivers are municipal employees. They typically work 9 to 4, and it's not a program that we can, staff 24/7. So there's, people want to go to Boston, and that's just not really possible with our transportation, but we have other ways that we can get them to Boston through the taxi program.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for spending time. I'm sure I missed something. Is there anything else that you feel like you want to bring to the people?
I think I've given a good overview. I think we have a really vibrant senior population. We have a lot of volunteers. And if people are interested in volunteering, you can call any of us and we will find something for, to include you in. And that's really how a lot of people become board members and, get to know us, is through volunteering. So it really, I feel like we're very supported in the town, and people appreciate the fact that older adults have all the resources that, we're able to bring to them.
Thank you. And
You're
thank
welcome.
you for joining
Thank you,
me.
Leon.
And I want to thank you all for watching today's program. The things that we offer in Weston and that are provided to the residents of Weston are not just police, fire, and schools. There are a lot of other types of programs that are very critical, that bring quality of life issues to the people of Weston. And I thank you, Joan, and your staff for helping to bring those kinds of programs and opportunities to the good people of Weston. So until next time, you will see me under the cupola.